welcome to another episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the unceded land where this conversation takes place, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Stéphane Nguyen is the founder of the French Cooking Academy alongside his wife Kate. Stephane has built a global following by teaching classic French techniques in a way that actually makes sense, clear, methodical, and with a real focus on understanding the why behind each step. But it didn't start there. Stephane moved to Australia, missed French food, tried to make a Boeuf Bourguignon, and realised he actually had no idea how to cook many of the dishes he'd grown up with. So he taught himself, using proper French culinary textbooks, and he documented the whole process. What started as a personal project is now a full-blown online cooking school with thousands of students from around the world. We talked about everything from confidence in the kitchen to why a sieve might be the most underrated tool you own and why the simplest dishes are often the hardest to get right. On y va!
On y va, c'est parti.
So, Stephane, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's start at the beginning. How did the French Cooking Academy come to be? What was the spark?
Well, the spark, we need to go back. We need to go back a little bit further than that. The thing that people have to know is that first, when I arrived in Australia, I was absolutely not working in the world of food. I was actually working in the corporate world. I was an IT guy, technical support, networks, cable, was a bit of a geek. I had no intention to work in the food business. But when I arrived in Australia, when we married with Kate, very shortly after I realized I get kind of homesick food-wise, and I realized how I took for granted the fact that I had so much of the food at my doorstep, in France. That's what we have. And I realized how far I was from France being here after 27 hours of being in a plane. I said, oh my God, I'm in the other side of the world, and everything was gone. From day one to day two, after the first year here, I was starting to really miss my food. And the connection to food happened after that when I was really starting to find all my French places and things to eat, and I could not find it. People told me, like, if you want your French food, you're in Australia, you're going to have to make it yourself. And I thought, like, you know what, well, that's fine. I'll do that. I'm French, I can do this. And I, but this time I'm going to start with a trial thing, like a Boeuf Bourguignon. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Like my mom was doing it and stuff. Bought all the stuff. And then I faced my stove and I was doing my pan with the ingredients. And I was like, how did she go again? Like my mom and I was trying to, to feel around. And I said, oh my God. That's just the most terrible realization. Like I'm very good at eating, like a lot of French. I'm be on the receiving end, but I was absolutely clueless at actually the cooking process. And in my head at the time, I was like, it really shocked me when I say, I'm the French guy in Australia. When people talk to me, they expect me to, can you make us that dish? And you're from France, I went to holiday, I like that dish thing. Can you make this for us? And I was like, I've got no idea. I cannot be that guy that can't cook.
Yeah.
And from then onwards, I took the decision to tell myself, you know what? I can't let that be. I'm going to have to teach myself cooking. So before the French Cooking Academy arrived, that was the very beginning when there was a time that led to that creation of the French Cooking Academy, almost for about 2 years of me basically buying culinary textbooks from France, because it's what you can get in a culinary school. And I professionally taught myself cooking. I did not learn by trial and errors and like grandma recipes. I actually followed the curriculum the same as a student in France, except that I did this on my own in my kitchen. And to make things more fun, I decided to kind of record the process on my iPhone, because I thought it was so useful, the things I was learning. I said, people in the world, they need to know about the basics like that, because my first series of video was like how to wash, peel and cut vegetables for like 30 days. So it's pretty boring. But I took my phone, I started recording, and I started the French Cooking Academy. The name started with a YouTube channel, because that's what I was looking for a name. I said, you know what, I'm going to call it French Cooking Academy. And that's what I did. And every weekend, every night that I had some time after work, because I was still working full time, that was the creation of the name, the French Cooking. This is where it really, the very, very beginning of the story, where it all started. And that was, I've got some numbers here, but that's a long time ago. So that was in 2014.
Right.
That I actually created the channel And the following 2 years was just about sharing, learning the ropes, cooking, learning video stuff on top of that, and editing.
Of course.
That was the beginning of all that name, and the beginning of that massive journey where we're on to.
Wow. And so, was there a particular moment where you realised that it could become more than just your side project, your learning, when you really realised you could take it to the next level?
So what happened really after 2 years of training myself, I've reached the point of the end. I've actually finished the curriculum, and I ended up with a channel at the time that was very successful. I mean, we had more than 100,000 subscribers already from all over the world. People were asking for more and stuff. Kate was kind of saying, "Oh, you know what? Maybe you should do something." I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That was just for fun." I've been working in IT. But I have to say that at the time, I was still in need of a bit of a validation, like a student that wants to pass an exam after having studied for 2 years. And I didn't have that. And I thought, if I was to go further, I need a validation. Tell me that, did I actually learn something out of this? Or was it just me imagining that? I had that gap. And strangely enough, out of all unexpected thing, I received an email from a casting company in Sydney that told me, we're running a thing, we've got a new food show on SBS that's coming up, dedicated to French with like a food competition. Would you be interested to take part?
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, this is it. I can throw myself in. I've got no, nothing. And I said, yes. And I passed the interview, and out of all odds, I got selected. And that was the show that's called The Chef's Line, that aired, I think that was in 2016. I started filming. It was released in 2017. I was in the very first series on the French section. And I didn't win the competition, but I was like second place in the home cooks in there on television. And I had my answer. And this is where I realized, you know what? People tell me, you're very charismatic. You do this thing. You had tons of interviews in there after the show and things. And I said, maybe you should keep going. People were telling me, the fellow guys on the television show that were with me, so keep going.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought, like, let's keep on going. And maybe there's something there, but I still did not leave my job or anything. But I kept the thing. I kept learning. I started to look for a new horizon, new things to learn, and let the thing grow. And that was really 2016 was the big turning point where I thought, like, yes, there's maybe something there.
What for you in your own learning process? What was the most challenging part about it? Was there anything challenging?
It's actually the good thing. One thing with French cooking that people think it's very difficult. We hear about the fine dining and everything, but everything you learn, like the whole curriculum, has not changed, to be honest, for like the past 50 years. And the things you learn is it starts very, very easy, and it's gradual. So there's no real time when things get massively difficult, unless you want to start to venture into the more the restaurant-like stuff and things like this. So there are some challenges where, after I finished with my book, I was a bit left, okay, what's next? What direction I'm taking? So I've got the famous culinary reference from Auguste Escoffier and La Rose Gastronomique, and I started to venture into more difficult territories. And that was a bit of a challenge of like stepping up. So I was learning more advanced things, and I think I've learned a lot of that. And there's been a few hiccups in that moment, but it was a big turning point, a bit of challenge that I needed, a ceiling I had to break.
Yeah, right.
To going from the basic student to someone that would actually start to make restaurant quality food, even at home, even with the things I'm doing.
I think nowadays I feel as though people cooking at home, because there's so much out there on TV and on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, that people can have a fear of cooking because they don't want to fail, or they don't have an understanding of, as you say, building up from certain techniques. And you talk about confidence in the kitchen on your website and in some of your the material you put out.
Yeah.
How do you design your course to build that confidence in home cooks?
Right. So when we talk about courses, sorry to backtrack again.
No,
there's been a bit of an element. So YouTube channel was chapter 1.
Yeah.
Right. one of the big breakthroughs that happened after the TV show and everything like this, get a little bit enthusiastic, like you said, wanted to go forward. We decided with Kate to spend an entire year in France and try to make that almost like food, not like a show kind of thing, but we toured France, going into villages and cooking food on the spot and starting to do all of that stuff.
That's great.
In Airbnbs. Yeah.
Wow.
So we've lived a life for 1 year. And at the end of the trip, we ended up in Lyon we stayed about 3 or 4 months. And Kate actually was the one that said, after all the things we've seen, after all the things I've done on YouTube, how we could take all that thing and structure it in a more, thinking of a structured way, like a curriculum. And we thought about the idea of creating an online course. And I thought to me, yes, I've got so much to share. So we actually, what we did, we sat down in that Airbnb. We're traveling with pans, in our suitcases with food. I mean, we're traveling in a train with like lentils falling over, garlics everywhere. It was like such a shamble. Don't try to do a TV show on your own out of Airbnbs. It's just
wow.
But luckily enough, we had that place for 3 months, a great kitchen, and we worked on a curriculum. So the way we structure, we actually followed something that was kind of established. Like I said, in France, there are a lot of existing curriculums. So I've kind of inspired myself for looking at a professional curriculum, what a student in their first year are learning. And I've transformed all this and adapted it for a home cooking environment. I've trimmed out all the unnecessary bits, all the stuff that is too difficult, and kept only the useful things that were really doable and useful in a home kitchen. And this is where we started to create from the ground up, starting with the very, very basics on, health and safety, and knife skills and vegetable cuts. So very baby steps, and all the lesson is a very slow progression where you move towards, so you build your confidence. When we talk about building your confidence, you're going to start with very small gesture, very simple. The first recipe in the course, for instance, is a soup. So it's not a big challenge.
Yeah.
But a very iconic soup that where you have to use all your knife skills and use these fresh things to get that flavor. And people, when they realize they can make 1 or 2 things, they start to get more confidence. Oh, I can do this. I've made that thing. That was great. I had good feedback in their families, in their home, their children. They get feedback from everyone. And then they slowly build the confidence and think, I want to keep going. And then they progress. And we've got some students that went from, it's crazy, like from knowing nothing about cooking to now being like, making like, restaurant style, massive meal at home with inviting friends, and they show the pictures, and it's like crazy stuff with sauces and dishes and all French food. They at ease with their books. They take all their French cookbooks and make everything.
Wow.
It's great to see. It's great.
I was going to ask you whether people do reach out to you with their stories, but obviously they do. And who are your students? Is there a typical French Cooking Academy student, or is it across the board?
So the school has been going on for more than 7 years, I think. So it really started the first course, like I said, in 2019. So let's say 6 years. The students are from all over the world, mainly the United States. We've got at the moment worldwide about 3,000 students active at all times. And the typical profile that we have more and more are people with more time, people from the older generation. I would say most of the people are going from their mid 40s or 40s up to 70s or 80 years old.
Wow.
Sometimes semi-retired. And they want to reconnect with French cooking. They had their past in France, they traveled, and they want to be able to make some French dishes. So that makes a big part of the student group. And to answer your question about how do they reach out, so as part of the courses, we also offer, we got a private online community for students only that we've created. So when you enroll in the course, it's not just online with only the course, you're also part of a huge, it's called the French Cooking Academy Club. We've got more than 1,000 active members.
Wow.
Sharing things. So as soon as you go there, you can share your progress of what you've done, and you get your feedback from me and from the other students, and you share whatever you talk about, things about books, or talk about the courses you're taking. It's a bit of a big family, really, after all these years.
That's so great. Have any of those students gone on to do anything surprising with their French cooking skills that you know of?
There's been, I think the biggest thing we had two students. There was one young girl that in America that she knew nothing. She didn't have a job, and she decided to go into the teaching. She didn't have enough money to go to culinary school. She actually took her courses and went on to work in a fine dining restaurant, and started to work and flow off. And now she's working as a I don't know if she's a chef by now, but she had the total transformation of going from knowing nothing to being able to work in a restaurant via the courses. These were some of the good things we've heard. Like this, family-wise, there's a lot of reconnection with single parents. They have suddenly their kids over, and they could never make anything. And when suddenly they get kids over, they're making all these meals, and the kids can't believe it. And oh my God, this is amazing. Dad can cook, or mom can do this. With another funny story where a woman was saying that the mise en place, which is how to organize yourself in the kitchen, have saved her marriage, because the husband was so messy when he cooked all the time that she was on the point of divorcing him. And she's learned all that. He's learned how to be meticulous and organize everything. So, oh my God, when we made a book, and we had a book signing. He said, "Oh, you saved her marriage." I've seen her face to face.
Wow, that's so good.
It was so fun.
And I was reading too that you mention that it's really important to understand the why behind techniques, or the why behind the recipes. Can you give me an example of what you mean by that, or how that might play out in a typical lesson?
Yeah, so I think a lot of this is one of the biggest hurdle that even cooks in France, where if you don't go through a formal education or like a course like this, and you cooking like this out of recipe can take you a certain way. You can reach a point where you're making a sauce. Let's take a Hollandaise sauce or a Béarnaise sauce. Let's take a sauce as a technique. And if it fails or anything like this, typically you don't know it. You just fail. Oh, I can't make it. It fails all the time. I'm not good enough or whatever. And I think understanding the why is that once you know the building block, with French cooking is made at a lot of building blocks. They're all like Legos. So when you make something, it's always you add one block plus another, and then it gives you this. So when you create something, if something typically goes wrong, and you know what went wrong, so that element was not right or something like that, you can usually correct things. You can get something back on track. And it also kind of it gives you more ideas when you look at a recipe, or you know the structure in your head. You know how it works, or if someone says that doesn't seem right, you can say, well, yeah, exactly, it doesn't, because that doesn't seem right. You missed that step, or that was too cold, or that was too hot, or the temperature of your butter was not right, or oil should not be stored there, or your eggs were cold, or there's all kinds of little things. There's really tiny little things, like a mayonnaise at a very, very basic level. All the ingredients should be at room temperature. If you make a mayonnaise with cold eggs, it's going to fail. And if you know that, why? Oh, it fails because you have to use everything at room temperature. It's all little things, again, that lead you to a flawless experience when you cook, even at the simple level, or complicated. And you can go through with all your things and succeed in making your dishes and have the right outcome. And no guesswork. Yeah, you remove that kind of guesswork. You don't want that kind of guesswork when you do all these things. You want to understand what's going on and how to take things further if you want to.
Yeah, that's right. You've got a lot of different courses, so right from obviously the Getting Started course through to Master French Sauces. You've got one about quiches for all occasions. There's cooking potatoes. How do you decide on the courses?
So at the beginning, of course, like what you see, the Get Started, that was the first one we created in France. That's the package for total beginners to go from nothing to like an intermediate. So there was some logical process. The first 3 courses were more the culinary basics, the one things you need to know. But after that, I think it's been a mix of reaching out for all the students and the people on the club and by email to see what would they like to see. Is there something in particular they wanted to be covered? Like, for instance, our latest course on ice cream, that was one that was actually almost chosen by everyone. They said, "Oh, we would love to have a course on ice cream and sorbets and things." But sometimes it's also just me. I just think, okay, what's missing in our list? What is the next useful thing? Because I'm always thinking, I don't want to bring courses, because courses, when you see them from afar like this on the website, it's just a picture, right?
Yeah.
Quiches, potatoes. But when you actually go into the courses, they are actually very very in-depth, and they're all about really explanation and that understanding the why. It's not just a video taking through the recipe. It's the whole teaching us, understand each ingredients, how to deal with them, how to select them, how to use them, how to cook them, etc., etc. Know everything going for potatoes. You will learn everything there is to know about potatoes of all angles, and then only we're going to start to cook with potatoes and all kinds of things, and what potato you need to use for this, what potato you need to for that. So it's very always on the useful side of things, so that when you finish a course, you're getting some knowledge. So for me, I'm always looking for something that's going to be useful from someone at home, and someone that we've missed, or something that might be fun. Like we did a series on regional food, like it's called the Gastronomia Journey, that takes you through France. And I'm talking about the history of each region, and we make special dishes from each region. And there will be some fun facts and stuff. So there's different formats. Sometimes I'm playing around.
Yeah, and different. So for the ice cream one, it looks like there's maybe 4 workshops, and then the bistro charcuterie is 45 lessons. So that's a bit more of an investment in time. And
yes.
And when you have 45 lessons, how long does that take you to film? If we go behind the scenes, setting up and filming and editing.
Okay, so that really depends on the type of. So charcuterie can be quite involved. So some things are more involved than others.
Yeah.
Charcuterie specifically was more involved, but on average, small. It's kind of a smallish course compared to the other big ones. That will take you easily. It takes 3 to 4 months to create.
Wow. Yeah.
Of constant, and we're talking about recipe writing, finding the ideas, creating the curriculum, filming the video, testing the recipes. A lot of testing that goes onto there. Selecting the recipe, and also finding what is useful, because every course starts with the basics. So charcuterie for beginners, you will start with the very basics. You make a very simple pâté, and you go on with the rillettes, and you're going to have to, then you progress, and then you make these super difficult things towards the end. So it's all finding and picking, but typically 3 to 4 months. It can take 6 months for the big courses. Yeah, it's almost half a year, yeah.
Wow. And do you film this at home in your own kitchen? Do you have an amazing kitchen?
It's the one you see in the course. So that's one of the reasons we moved here in a countryside. We find that house with that great kitchen that could be used as a kitchen studio. So I'm using that. So that's the whole idea as well. The school, what makes it special is that it's really for home cooks. Everything is filmed in a home kitchen, in the kitchen that I'm filming, and I'm cooking in that kitchen with home appliances. So it's all done, on the spot, and in a real, true home environment with pans and normal ovens. Yeah.
And is there a particular piece of equipment that you think that the home cook can't be without?
Oh, you don't actually need. People think you need a lot of things, and it's something that's funny that I'm seeing with all chefs, is that you start learning with tons of pans and tons of knives and tons of utensils, and after all, you end up with 2 or 3 pots, a wooden spoon, a pillar, a whisk, a bit of a stock pot, but there's no real things that that are super quintessential. I think you would probably have all the things you need already.
Yeah.
In your kitchen, that there's no things that this is a bit of a myth. You need a special thing. I would say the most important thing that's super useful is a sieve.
Oh,
the sieve is one of the thing that is, you can do so much things. A set of good sieve, like a fine mesh sieve and a normal sieve, is quintessential.
Wow.
I would say.
Right. Yeah, it's good to know. And when I was speaking to Gabriel Gatti, that was a few years ago now, he's very much about getting people into the kitchen, and especially children, but he was recommending to people that don't usually cook to get a recipe, make the dish, and then make it often. So, and then every month learn a new recipe. So by the end of the year, you have 12 recipes. How many times do you think it takes to cook a particular dish to really perfect it?
I would say at least 3 times. It's definitely a truth in that there's the way it goes. The very first time you make a recipe is going to be totally new for you, so it may not be perfect. And you're not going to know it by heart. So when you make it a second time, you're going to get familiar with the ingredients. But again, the technique or the end result might not be perfect. There's always a little bit of fine tuning. I think I've listened to your segment because I know Gabriel, actually. We're doing something with him soon in September. Yeah, definitely that there's always some fine tuning and getting used to. So I would say 3 times minimum to really get kind of, yes, I know how to make this. Yeah, it's definitely true. It's like, practice make perfect. It's true. Practice make perfect. There's no such things as, making the things once. And it happens a lot with the students when they do the course. They try the one thing, and even though they follow the recipe, so it didn't came out as expected. And I tell them, try this and try that. And then second time they do it, oh my God, it's much better. And the third time they make it, it's like, wow, beautiful picture of the dish.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's right. And which part of France are you from, Stéphane?
So I'm born in Le Châtelet near Versailles, but I've grown up. If you know Fontainebleau, which is in the south of Paris, about the Chateau of Fontainebleau in there, which is very kind of countryside-like. It's very rural. We got the big forest of Fontainebleau around there, and it's actually was an area that castle. Sure you know, but it used to be a retreat for all the kings and all the nobles during the hunting season.
Yes.
Because you got all the game and stuff, so they were always going there. And that forest over there, it yields a lot of good stuff. We used to hunt for mushrooms and all the chestnuts over here, and of course you got plenty of specialty nearby. Called which is great. So it's been a great connection to the countryside. So I've had a part of my life it was near Paris when I was really young, and then we moved toward that more rural area. So I had a bit of a taste of both, but I still like the countryside bit, I think.
Yeah.
I'm a rural person.
So it really struck me. I spent a year in the south of France a long time ago, and I was an English assistant in a college there in a very small town, Château Renard, near Avignon. But the friends I made, I was very lucky because they did take me out foraging and and to the beach, and they would pick up terrine and little shellfish and different, those kinds of things. I reckon my favourite meal ever, well, the most memorable meal, I'll say, was an omelette au cèpe. So, like a porcini mushroom omelette. So fragrant. The eggs were so delicious. And I'd had a really big day coming back from Germany on the train, and my French friends met me and made me this omelette. And I just thought it was the best thing ever. Do you have a dish that's especially memorable or meaningful to you?
Oh, when you cook, there's a lot. I've never been, I'm much of an explorer. I like all kinds of dishes, but when I was in Lyon, because I was following a lot of Paul Bocuse things, and when I was going to the bistro there, there is the famous charcuterie item called the pâté en croûte, which is part of charcuterie, which is this kind of elegant, huge pâté, rectangular, encased in a very specific pastry that's decorated, and inside is all layers of meat, of dog breast, of cognac, and sometimes truffles and things. I love that thing because of the craft of it and how every chef got to get it right. But there's a more simple thing that I really liked over there that make a lot of time is the chicken in vinegar. That I didn't, it's not common. And it's that mix of creamy, tangy, typical Lyonnaise cuisine style that I really liked. And when I've made it sometimes, it's really surprised. But I like dishes that really surprise me taste-wise. I always need something. So like the cèpe, I can understand that you have these strong flavors. I'm all about flavors in my cooking.
Yeah.
And having something like this that is really tasty, that doesn't go unnoticed, is very good. Like anything with saffron, for instance. Wow, this is like this is great. Like even when you have a bouillabaisse, for instance, and the real one, and there's a lot of saffron in there.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of dishes I like that. It's hard to pinpoint one specifically because there's so much things in France.
True. So true. And you have a book,
Yes.
which is amazing. So what led to that? Because you're already sharing so much content. Why a book as well?
Well, the books is something that we were kind of. I think so. It happened. We've been approached for the book by a publisher.
Amazing.
We didn't actually make the book and try to reach out to someone that actually contacted us to say, hey, there's been a few people who don't want to make a book. Do you want to make a book?
Yeah.
And we said no. But then we started to think, maybe it's another medium. I think what I liked about the book when I thought about it, so, it's we've got the online stuff. Online is good, but not everybody is keen on doing something on the internet and having to watch things online electronically. And I thought, maybe a book could be a good idea to reach another types of audience, people that maybe an older generation or don't like computers and things like that. So we've been approached in 2022 by an American publisher because we work a lot with American people.
Yeah.
And they asked us, and finally we gave in, and we said yes. Okay, well, that's fine. We can go with that. We'll think of something, and that was the beginning of the proposal. But what I've done with the book, even though it looks like a recipe book, it's called 100 Essential Recipe for the Home Cook. So again, it's made for beginners, simple recipes, simple ingredients to find anywhere in your supermarket. But what I've done with that book is that I've gathered all these, a mix of classic, but all the recipes that use some of the core techniques that are used again when you go to these schools, and these are all the things that you learn hidden and embedded into each recipe. So the book is the more recipe you make, the more skilled you become at cooking, because every single time you learn something new, how to make a sauce, how to make a roux, how to make a bechamel, how to use that bechamel to make something else, and etc., all the things that you can learn. So that's how we approach that book, and that's the content. But it's still a recipe book, but it's there's plenty of hidden stuff in there, making the recipes.
That's amazing. That must have been quite the process to produce that as well. 100 recipes. That's impressive.
It's been that's been. If you do a book like that, it's much harder than you think. It took forever to make, like with the thinking and stuff. Like, it was almost a constant year. But even before that, when we had ideas, it can easily take you 2 years to make a book of your life, and that's constant.
That's
it's always
right.
in your head every single day, and you have a draft, and you have reviews, and you have to say. And we did. Let's talk about Kate, because my partner, she's talking about the food, and of course, she's always with me on the side and everything, and the creation of things. But for the book, she's also been the photographer, because we had to make the pictures away. So every picture is also made by us.
Wow.
And Kate had to learn on the job how to become a food photographer in a very short amount of time. And she did a great job on this, because if you look at the book, I don't know if you see it in the library somewhere, it's everywhere. You look at the picture, it's they were pretty pleased, and it was such a crazy rush. But we've learned a lot of things. So it was quite a fun, and we managed to do it. It's been released. It's been very well received as well. So we're pretty happy with that.
Well, congratulations. It feels like you're both very high achievers to do all this. And
it's just the two of us, yeah. It's
amazing.
Crazy,
Yes, it's very impressive. And what's next for the French Cooking Academy? Do you have, you mentioned Gabriel Gatté, but have you got some projects or expansions on the horizon?
Well, of course, we're going to continue the school and things like that. But talking about books, we've done something with a publisher, and but like Gabriel Gatté, he was always telling Gabriel when we did the book launch that he's published more than 24 books, I think, and he was telling us, we've got the energy, and we're still young, and we're looking forward to much more book, and we're kind of thinking this modern era of. Maybe doing more self-publishing. If we do more books, that could be something I would like to explore, maybe smaller format that are more useful, more targeted to very specific things. And again, in trying to help people at home and give them something, they can just discover again and promote that French cooking. And French cooking is not that difficult. It's a very hard thing to tell people, French cooking is not... It's not that hard. But we also have a move on become more and more, I would not say sustainable, but we try to grow our own stuff more. So when you start cooking and we grow some vegetables, the fruit trees, tries to source our food responsibly. So we work with local farmers here. We know where we get our meats and things like that. And more and more we're trying to, hint some little things. It's great. It's healthy. You can save money. You can make some great contacts and knowing about your food a bit more, the whole food education. I think all chefs, have a part of you that wants to tell people, this is what I've experienced. There's great stuff out there. There's more than the supermarkets, say, and it doesn't cost you more money. So perhaps in the future, there's going to be an accent on this, still education, but awareness as well.
Well, that's right, and it is a big topic of conversation in recent times, speaking to chefs who like to use all of the product, for example, or as you say, who grow their own vegetables and then have a much bigger respect or greater respect for that vegetable, and so are less likely to waste parts of it and so on. And I think it would be great for home cooks to know more about that, reusing lemon rind for detergents and all those kinds of things that chefs naturally can experiment with and do in the kitchen. It's good for us as well at home.
Yeah, there's actually lots of little things like, when you make the custard, the vanilla custard, anytime you use this vanilla bean and you scrub the seed, it's in the recipe. Scrub the seed of the vanilla pod, and the vanilla pod always end up in a bin, right? You can't do much sometimes, but if you keep them, you dry them, and you put them in sugar, then you end up with a vanilla sugar.
Oh yeah.
So there's a vanilla sugar you buy in a shop, so instead of buying with all kinds of sometimes of additives and stuff like that, you can have your pot of super fragrant vanilla sugar for your baking, for instance. So egg whites can be frozen, and can be kept for weeks in your fridge if you have too much when you only use egg yolk for mayonnaise, for instance. There's all these little things that you can use, and like you said, other part of the vegetables that are not commonly used, like the root of parsley. If you grow parsley at home, the root can be used. There's plenty of interesting stuff, but you don't want to scare people neither. This is one of my biggest problems. Is like I'm doing baby steps because I know the fact it's very easy to scare people with, especially when it comes to French cooking, when you start to go too far.
Yeah.
And tell them, yes, you can do this, you can do that, start to grow things and may transform your garden into a lush vegetable thing. You have to take it easy. So, so may I ask about cooking and you? What's your approach when hearing all this and interviewing everyone with food? I mean, do you tend to be more of someone that likes to cook yourself, or you prefer
I do.
going out? Or?
No, I love cooking, and I am lucky. I do get to eat out quite a bit because I get invited to places. But I actually love being at home and cooking, and my partner Charlie, in the early days of us going out, we would sometimes get takeaways, and he just now will say, no, it's not worth it, your food is much better, which is nice. I like having the time to cook, and I think certainly living in France and maybe seeing, although it was a long time ago, it made me really appreciate just treating simple food really well and enjoying the seasons a lot more perhaps than we do here. So yeah, I do love cooking, but I've got a lot to learn. So I'm thinking I probably should do one of your courses.
Yeah, well, we're going to always give you access. And for the ingredients, do you find it sometimes a bit of a challenge to find to source certain things when you cook, or because I always wonder about this? What other people think? When you want to make anything, do you have to go to a market, or do you just think, I can find something at the supermarket, or is it something you can't find if you want to do something like I may need to go online or something?
I don't really go online too much, but it does sort of depend. I would love to never go to the supermarket, but I have to say with a full-time teaching job, I often do end up at the supermarket. I'd much prefer to go to the market and the butcher and all those kinds of things. But in an ideal world, I'd certainly like to do a village-style shop and go to the particular people for the particular thing, but
we all want that. But it's not always feasible. But this is the thing. This is why in our book I've been really realistic, and I've mentioned that everything can be done in the book pretty much at 90% with things from the supermarket, because let's be real, not everyone can spend their time going to the market and picking the right carrot and the piece of meat. But I think I would say to everyone who is listening in that food is like, even if it's sometime, there is a custom in Lyon all the people that live in that town of Lyon, if you know the town, every Sunday, it's a day for the Lyonese people that is dedicated to making food. So on the Sunday, they all make a family dish. So someone in there is going to cook something special. And they got that one day a week where they're going to take the effort to say, this Sunday, we're not going to the supermarket. We're going to try to go to the butcher or go to that market, whatever you have, just for that one special day. And they try to keep on having that special meal. It could be sweet, it could be savory and everything, but on Sundays. I thought it was quite interesting to have that dedication, have a day like this. Maybe once a month, you could say, let's have a special day, making something a bit better than usual.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really nice. It's nice to have that intentional approach, and it does, when you set that time aside and just enjoy the whole process and then sharing it with your family or friends, it is really good.
Yeah, with a glass of wine, of course.
Of course, bien sûr.
Let's not forget.
So for people listening, the best thing to do is to direct them to your website and perhaps have a look at that and go from
everything
there.
On there. Yeah. Just go to the website, French Cooking, the FrenchCookingAcademy.com, and we've put as much information as possible in there. We keep on adding new things so it's less confusing.
Yeah.
Because again, we do everything, so even the website and everything you see is us again. Sometimes it gets a bit tiring. Oh my God, how much things are we doing just the two of us?
So good.
So, yeah. So sorry if it's not perfect, everyone. We're doing our best.
I think it looks great. It's fascinating. And the photos are beautiful, very, very appealing. So well done.
Yeah, well, that's Kate.
Yeah.
That's Kate. She's a photographer behind the thing and the strategist. When it comes to things, I'm more the doer, I'm more the cook and the doer. When we got an idea and I make it happen, and she's more sometimes the planning and the thinking and how to organize things. As you do in a couple, maybe everyone's got a role. That's
right. Well, thank you, Stéphane. That's been such a great chat, and what a great story.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. It would be great to listen to the podcast, and yeah. Send us an email if you want to have a taste of the courses. Who knows? You might be interested to learn more.
Oh, I absolutely am. Thank you. All right. That's great.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Stéphane Nguyen from French Cooking Academy. You can check out all the goodness on Instagram at French Cook Academy, and of course online at www.frenchcookingacademy.com. If you'd like to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm also on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef. You can read this chat online at www.conversationwithachef.com, and of course follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. I would absolutely love it if you told a friend about my chats. It's still the best way to get these delicious stories out into the world. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and bon appétit.